The spring and autumn and warring states periods in China are among the most intriguing ages in world history. Spanning more than 500 years of continuous warfare, these periods witnessed significant advancements in thoughts and philosophies, led by 100 schools of thoughts. Numerous thinkers proposed their theories that remain insightful even today, ranging from various fields, including politics, economics, military, and philosophy. Among them, Guanzi by Guanzhong stands out as exceptionally remarkable. He was the prime minister of the state of Qi, located in what is now Shandong province. Unlike the majority of other philosophers, Guanzhong wielded real political power and bore responsibility for the prosperity of his nation. He was particularly successful in economic policies. He grasped some of the essential concepts of modern economics, such as price regulation, trade and logistics, currency management, and correcting the wealth gap. Due to his effective economic measures, the state of Qi thrived, establishing its dominance over rival states. Guanzi is a compilation of this great statesman. What can we learn from this economist and politician from 2,700 years ago? Guanzi in existence consists of 86 chapters, most of which were not written by Guanzhong, but anonymously by later generations who attributed it to this great statesman. Only 9 chapters are supposed to belong to Guanzhong himself, and one of the phrases that represents his philosophy the most is as follows. People learn to respect and the nation thrives, and they come to care about their dignity after their food and clothing are secured. He believed that the essential foundation for better society was material sufficiency. It is no use in talking about morals and dignity to people who lack basic needs for survival. Guanzi also says, if they could feed themselves only 3 ounces of grain a day, there would be a food thief in every village. If they could feed themselves only 2 ounces of grain a day, there would be a thief in every hamlet. If they could feed themselves only 1 ounce of grain a day, there would be a thief in every household. As a chancellor of a nation, he had to realize that crimes occur inevitably with a certain frequency, in proportion to the economic condition. He was convinced that the most important duty as a statesman is not to ask people for morality and correct their behaviors with punishments, but to create a situation where people automatically behave morally and respectfully. Guanzhong seemed to understand the intricate nature of power and authority. He warns against recklessly mobilizing the nation and exploiting its workforce. Guanzi says, agricultural production has its seasonal limitation, and the potential labor force of the people is finite. If a ruler exercises infinite desire against finite resources, the future of the nation is unpromising. On the other hand, a nation that taxes its people moderately and refrains from exploiting them will flourish. He also emphasized the importance of recognizing and satisfying the people's need and desire. Guanzi says, the people will endure any suffering, for a ruler who alleviates their suffering. The people will fight at the risk of their lives, for a ruler who makes their life affluent. The essence of government lies in understanding how what you give turns into what you take. When the people listen to their ruler, it is not because he is a ruler. They listen to him only when they believe it makes some sense to do so. If you ignore the people's desire, they will not follow you, no matter how you intimidate them. If you fail to get the hearts of the nation, your throne will be threatened, no matter how harshly you punish them. What's crucial in politics is to gain the support of the people by satisfying their needs, and effectively utilize the resources and the workforce, while accurately recognizing their limitations. Guanzi is also regarded as the pioneer of legalist philosophy, since his arguments range over the effective implementation of laws and penalties. Guanzi says, if the law is unreasonable, it will not be observed. Guanzi also states, too many prohibitions will be offended in reverse, and too many orders will not be followed on the contrary. If the rules exceed a proper degree that people can accept and observe, they will be inevitably violated, so the ruler has to carefully balance freedom and restriction. Furthermore, Guanzi adds, when a law is not observed, people will disregard laws. When an order is not followed, the ruler will lose his dignity and prestige. If the rules are frequently revised, people will cease to respect them. In other words, enacting a law entails certain risks when it is not observed. Moreover, setting a law requires a variety of expenses: the communication costs to inform people of the law, the mental costs for people to remember the law, the surveillance costs to find the offenders, and the administering costs involving trials and penalties. The more unreasonable the law is, the higher the costs will be. In short, there is absolutely no point in just setting laws and punishments, if you don't consider how to effectively implement them. Thus, the establishment of a law has to involve careful examination of all the following points. Does this law make sense? Is it within the limit that people can understand, remember, and observe? Does the benefit of the law exceed the costs of implementation? To what extent does it risk our reputation, when the law is not observed or has to be revised afterwards? Only those who properly recognize such risks can effectively utilize their power. Of course, the absence of laws will also bring troubles and resulting costs and risks. Laws and penalties are not something that those in power can manipulate as they like. A ruler doesn't actually have that much freedom of choice. Laws can only exist in a tiny area, where the costs of rules and the costs of the absence of rules are delicately balanced. In later years, Guanzi earned harsh criticism, particularly from Confucianists. Confucianism pursued a better society by raising the moral standards of the people. For them, it must be hard to accept the idea that material shortage inevitably leads to the lack of integrity. For Guanzhong, by contrast, the Confucian ideal might have sounded an empty theory that ignored the fact that morality of the people is influenced by material sufficiency. However, there is no point in deciding which is right. The conflict results from their positions. Guanzhong was a chancellor of a state, responsible for the lives and security of 1 million people. He was not allowed to make political decisions based on idealism and wishful thinking alone. He had to face the real statistical tendency of people's behavior. His primary concern was not asking people to behave morally and politely, but to provide an environment where they can naturally take preferable actions. On the other hand, Confucianism has pursued a better society from the perspectives of enlighteners and educators. It is their duty to have high expectations for the person right in front of them, and take necessary interventions to help him or her be a better citizen. Educators should not give in to the reality that crime occurs inevitably under poverty, nor should they give up their expectations, saying, "She cannot succeed because she doesn't have a good condition." Anybody can have a chance to flourish, regardless of their situations, and we can help them grow and succeed with support and encouragement. Both Guanzhong and Confucianists were in pursuit of a better world, and the disagreement derived from their positions. This kind of conflict may exist even within a single individual. Think about a case where you are a manager of a department of 100 workers. When you think about the policy and rules of the team, you have to be realistic about how people typically behave under a certain condition. But when you engage in one-on-one coaching sessions with your direct reports, you need to be hopeful of their growth and success, with your sincere love, respect, and expectations. You are consistent in pursuing better leadership, and just switching your stances depending on the situations.